So, you're new to Pro Tools and you want to learn how to set up a session. Let me show you how I set up my sessions for recording. Pro Tools can be quite an intimidating software. It looks very complex, but once you get to know it, just like anything, it does really make sense. So today we're going to set up a session as though we were going to be recording. The example is going to be as though we're recording a drum kit, and that's going to include, in terms of microphones and therefore audio tracks, kick in, kick out, snare top, snare bottom, hi-hat, tom 1, 2, 3, overheads left and right, and then room mics, 2 room mics. So in total, that's 12 channels. Great. This is what we're going to do. First things first. We're going to open Pro Tools. We're going to select New. We're going to give our session a name. Pro Tools, ... Now important. Something that's important. The bit depth and sample rate. I'm not going to go into what these mean, but you want to try and record at the highest possible quality that your system allows. And then if you need to go down to Redbook standard or 16-bit 44.1, you can do that when you bounce. Your location, this is where you're going to be saving your session. I would recommend running your sessions on your computer. You can run it on a external, but based on your computer, you might be limited with some CPU problems. So run it off your main computer. That'll help a lot. Great, so we've got a name, enter. It'll open, we've got our mix window and our edit window. We select the edit window, just so by the way to jump between them, a shortcut for that is Command+. That goes between the two. Now what we want to do is we want to create 12 audio channels. Shortcut for that, Shift, Command, N. We're going to put 12. And then we're going to create a master fader as well. Select master fader. So there we go. 12 mono audio tracks, 1 stereo master fader. Create. Now I want to go back to the mix window because in my mind it's easier to name things here. First thing we're going to do is we're going to name our tracks. A shortcut for getting to the next track without having to push OK is Shift, Command, and the right arrow. This is what I mean. So we go kick, in, cool, Shift, Command, right arrow. Now we're at audio track 2 to name. Kick, out, snare, top, snare, bottom, hi-hat, tom 1, tom 2, tom 3, overhead left, overhead right, room left, room right, enter, booyah. That's how you name your tracks quickly. Next thing we want to do is set up our inputs. Now these can get tricky based on how your studio is set up. Just because something's plugged in channel 1 doesn't mean it's going to come into channel 1 into your interface and into Pro Tools. All studios are set up a bit differently, but mostly it'll be exact. 1 is 1, 2 is 2. I have 2 separate preamps, so I've got 1 to 8 on a Focusrite and 1 to 8 on an Audient, and I've got to decide which close mics I want going into the Audient and which ones I want going into Focusrite. So I'm going to select all the close mics to be in the Audient. So what I can do is I can select, let's see if this works. Select those close mics. We're going to go Command, Option, Input. They are all coming through ADAT. And we're going to click ADAT 1. Now this will change all of the inputs chronologically. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Nice. How quick was that? Perfect. The next thing that we want to do, we want to treat the kick as one instrument, but there's two microphones. So the way we do that is we're going to create auxiliary sends into a bus channel. So again, Shift Command N. We're going to create a mono because we want them both to be down the center, or we want to control them together. And it's not going to be an audio track, it's going to be an auxiliary input. Create. We're going to give that a name. We're going to call it kick. Great. We're going to come to the kick. We're going to make it bus 1. Input bus 1. We're going to then select the two kick channels and we're going to send them to the input bus 1. How are we going to do that? We're going to change their outputs. Now, to change both of these outputs at the same time, the shortcut is Shift Option. Different to Command Option. It's Shift Option. Select bus 1. So now those two channels, audio tracks, are being bused into bus 1. Great. We're going to do the same for snare, because a snare is going to be treated as one microphone. Again, mono, auxiliary input, create. Bus 2, snare, snare, selected. Again, the shortcut is Shift Option, bus 2. Brilliant. We're going to call this guy snare. Nice. Now, a little bit different. The overheads, same thing. We want to be able to control them independently. We're going to create another auxiliary send. This is going to be stereo because the overheads are going to be panned differently. The individual mics are going to be panned differently. So we're going to go aux input like that, stereo, create. We're going to make this bus. We've used 1 and 2 with the kick and snare, so we can't use 1 and 2. We're going to go 3 and 4. Select overhead using Shift. Then we're going to go Shift, Option, bus 3 and 4. Next one. Ooh, let's name that, sorry. Overhead. Great. The next one, we got the rooms. Same thing again. They're going to be panned differently. So we're going into stereo. And we want aux inputs. We go create. Go to the input. Bus 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 have been used. We're going 5 and 6. Go back down to the individual channels. Hold Shift to select both of them. Shift, Option, bus 3 and 4. Brilliant. Give it a name. Perfect. Then lastly, if you were to be working in a bigger session and you have other instruments, you want a room bus as well. I mean a drum bus, sorry. So we're going to go stereo, auxiliary input, create. Let's call this guy drums, like that. Nice. This guy, we're going to have its bus input as 7 and 8. And then all the channels will be sent to the drum bus. But bear in mind, where there are individual channels sent to an aux, we send the aux, we don't send the individual channel. So let's see if I can get this right. We're going to go kick, it's going to be sent. Snare is going to be sent. Hi-hat, tom, tom, tom. Overhead. And rooms. And we're going to go Shift, Option. We want their output to be the drum bus. So we go output 7 and 8. Oh, that's a beautiful thing. So if you look, the audio will be coming in if we follow the route of the kick microphone. The audio will come in through 8.1. It'll go through this channel, be sent from this channel. The output will then go to the auxiliary group for the kick, which will then go to the drum bus, which is 7 and 8. So from here, it's going to come in from the kick. It'll then be sent to 7 and 8, and then from there, it'll be sent to the master. And now what this allows is if you've got other instruments in your session, if you click this mute, all the channels are muted. All your drum kit is muted. And similarly, if you click mute over here, it mutes, because both of these kick drums are sent to this, it mutes both of them. Same thing with snare. If you mute this guy, it'll mute both snare microphones. And that's a very handy and helpful way to set up a session and get going. Great. So there you have it. A simple little workflow that really helps me to record my drums, makes things easy. A big part of that is the shortcuts. I would highly recommend that you learn your shortcuts. It saves quite a lot of time, especially when setting up. If you have clients, time is money, so they will be a lot more obliged to use your services again if you can save them time in that manner. This is a session that I use for most of my drum recording. If I've got more microphones, I'll follow suit. If I've got less microphones, I'll act accordingly as well. A big thing, I also always, if there's 2 microphones on an instrument, they will generally be sent to an auxiliary, so I have one channel or fader to control them. And if they are going to be, if both those close microphones will end up ultimately being panned in the same place, then that'll be a mono auxiliary, like a kick drum, like a snare drum. If you're working with something like overheads or rooms, because the individual microphones are there to create a stereo effect and therefore will be panned differently, your auxiliary will be a stereo auxiliary, so that you still have that control. Great. Well, if you've enjoyed this, please hit subscribe, give us a thumbs up, and follow. I'll be releasing more content like this as time goes on. But again, learn those shortcuts. They really do help. And have a great day.